Good morning. It is August the something. 14th maybe? Is that right? I think that's right. Sorry, I'm adjusting things just a little bit here. That's okay. All right. Anyway, it's Monday, heading along the creek, which I haven't done now for a while. Didn't walk over the weekend. Things just got away from me, time-wise. So, plus, yeah. Anyway, but I'm back. It's not that I wasn't walking over the weekend, I just wasn't live streaming. It's a lovely morning. It is supposed to be quite warm today. It's going to 30. One of the things I did on the weekend was, I did a Shadow Pop Press newsletter, which took more time than I thought, but I also had a podcast overdue. So there's a new podcast episode at the World Shapers. This one features Hayden Trenholm, whom I've known now for a very long time. We've been friends for a long time. He used to live in Calgary, and that's where we got to know him, but now lives in Ottawa. He and his wife are both writers, but he's the one I interviewed. He's a member of Canadian Science Fiction and Fantasy Hall of Fame. And at one point he was my publisher. He published 2 books of mine, Right to Know and Falcon's Egg, collectively known as Peregrine Rising. Both of those books are now published by Shadow Paw Press, my Shadow Paw Press, because Glendoran Press went away, but they're part of my growing collection of things that I've published. If you're ever curious, go to shadowpawpress.com and you can see everything I've published and am publishing. That and Endless Sky Books. Shadow Paw Press is a traditional publisher. Endless Sky Books, endless-sky-books.com, is publishing services. So I will help, editing or whatever somebody needs for a project, publishing project. But I then, some titles, I also publish under the Endless Sky Books imprint under a different sort of contract than you get with Shadow Paw Press. People pay for some of the production costs, but then they get the bulk, like 75% of the proceeds after that. So, and those have to be titles that I feel confident in releasing because it is an imprint for distribution purposes of Shadow Paw Press. So those titles, often I would have been happy to have a Shadow Paw Press titles, but the author, we did a different model, and some people like that. Anyway, so if you're interested or you have something you would like to enlist me to help you prepare and publish, edit, cover design, all that stuff, go to endless-sky-books.com. Shadowpawpress.com is open for submissions, but I'm getting so many of them that I may have to close again soon until I deal with the ones I have. What a lovely morning. This is a nice temperature. I'm glad I didn't put this off till later in the day when it's hotter. It's a time of year when you can get very warm days, but at night it's usually down to about 10 or 11 degrees. And as we continue to advance, within a month or so we could get our first frosts. So winter is coming round the bend. And then it will drive us round the bend, but we live through it every year. I guess we'll live through it again. You can certainly see the seasons if you look at the videos I posted over the now 2.5 years or thereabouts I've been doing this. Not quite 2.5 years, more than 2 anyway. Okay. The creek is of course to my left. Oh, something's being built here. Really? Doesn't exactly fill me with ooh, ah. In fact, it looks quite ugly. Maybe it'll look better when it's built than it does in their drawing there, but I didn't like that at all for this spot. That's probably not what they want to hear when people look at that, but that's my honest reaction. Well, it is warm enough up here already in the sun. Nice breeze though, right in my face. This garden down here has progressed, of course, as gardens do. Here comes our first dogs crossing the bridge. Bingo! The bridge needs painting. It's faded considerably since I first lived in this neighborhood. Weather being what it is, I lived, well, not on that street, but on the next one over when I first moved to the neighborhood. Okay, over the bridge. Actually, I take back what I said about it being cool. It's feeling quite warm in the sun. The air temperature is not too hot, but the sun has lots of heat. There we are looking east on Wascana Creek. And looking west. And on we go. Groundskeeper up here, just on the other side of that tree. Maybe we'll go down by the waterfall park, will we? I don't know, I haven't just followed the path for a while, so maybe I'll just follow the path. I think I'll just follow the path. Everything very green. I can hear insects or frogs, I don't know which it is, singing. It's been a long time since I've seen a frog. I remember playing with them as a kid when we, well, playing with them is perhaps a euphemism for what we did to frogs, but especially at Kenosi Lake, where there was a Clearview Christian camp where I went to 2 or 3 times. I remember playing with frogs there. There seemed to be a lot of them, but the creek looks pretty this morning. A couple of ducks, I think, down there. I think those are ducks. Ducks or geese. Occasionally something else. Like a stick. That was a stick I was looking at. I don't know if that's a duck or not. Right here. It's a duck. Something about its neck is a little different. One thing I have to do today is a little audition piece for someone who's looking for a narrator for some publishing related, actually, audio lessons, you know, about maximizing Amazon and all that sort of thing. pretty simple. So I'm going to go do the audition piece either this morning or this afternoon. I do that over at our condo. I go into the closet, and then when I'm done, I come out of the closet. Since I record in a closet, I've often thought I should do a collection of like Christmas songs and call it Ed Willett Comes Out of the Closet for Christmas, but I thought maybe people would misconstrue that. For all, I am a big musical theater guy. Honest Park, speaking of signs that need some repair, that one has suffered greatly over the years from both vandalism and the weather. Do I want to go through the... No, I think I'll stay on the path. Here comes a bicycle. I guess that was redundant. You can see that yourself. There's another bicycle, also redundant. Baseball diamonds over here. Several of them here in Kiwanis Park. I see there are red berries on the bushes. Another sign we're getting late into the summer. All along here you see them. Choke cherries, I guess. I suppose birds eat them. We don't eat them. Bitter. I don't know if they're technically poisonous, but certainly you wouldn't want to eat very many of them. Over there. We just had, not here, but we just had in Regina the Canadian Little League Championship, and the Regina team won and are now going to the World Series, Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. So that's exciting. I don't know where they were playing. If it had been around here, I would have tried to walk by it, but it certainly wasn't around here. There's a really nice football field over in Douglas Park that I've walked by sometimes, but not a ball diamond with stands. There is a fairly large ball diamond, which I have been to. I don't remember exactly where it is, and that's probably where it was. Hi, Kirk in Vancouver. Another dog. Big one. Big dog. See several fields over here. They're too small, I think, for hardball. I think they're intended for slow pitch. You could hit a hardball over that fence pretty easily. And of course, coming up on our right is the horseshoe pitches that I point out when I walk by them. I've actually got bases on that one. Morning. Over here is the horseshoe pitches on the other side of the trees. Oh, that's not very attractive. Really need to see his butt like that. And we go over Elphinstone here. Police vehicle is waiting, so I'll take that. Jogger. Second jogger, but the other one wasn't jogging when I saw her, but she clearly had been. She's overdressed for the heat. Probably probably thought it was cooler when she went out. Maybe it was. It felt cool when you first stepped out, but once you're in the sun, it feels quite warm. So the creek's over there. We'll be crossing it again in a minute. I think we'll go under the Pasqua Street Bridge, go up by Sask Express, and maybe walk back along 13th today. Just to vary things. Pasqua Street Bridge has been closed to traffic pretty much all summer as they work on it. But you've been able to go under it, so I'm assuming I can still go under it. See that spruce there has lots of cones on it as well. Another sign of the year progressing towards autumn, which is only 5 weeks away. Start of autumn. By that time, the leaves will be starting to fall. Haven't seen too much color yet, but there are places where you see it. It's always hard to tell if that's really autumn color or just it's been dry color. Although we've had quite a bit of rain in the last week or so. But it won't be long, I'm sorry to say. It seems like it barely turned spring and now it's about to go to fall. Over this next bridge. Since I'm walking a little further, I may walk along the creek instead of taking the winding path to shorten this part in expectation of a slightly longer walk back. Although is it really any longer back? Well, it is a bit because I'm going all the way up to 13. Hello, pigeon. One on either side. There they go. We will look west. And we will look east. Creek seems quite high. But instead of following the winding path, I'm going to take this path to my left, which goes right along the creek today. I don't take this very often. If you're going to do it, this is the time of year to do it. It's harder in the winter. So now we're right next to the creek. Certainly cuts off quite a bit of distance because the path over there winds just for aesthetic reasons, whereas this is shortest distance between, not exactly a straight line, but as short as distance as you can get and stay on land and not fly. See, there's some yellow showing up here and there. Lots of seeds showing up on various plants. Late summer. Well, it's really 2/3 of the way through summer, I guess, but it starts to feel like late summer. Really midsummer still, I guess, but it seems like it's, as they say around here, once the exhibition is over, that's the end of summer. And that was last weekend, so there you go. Summer's over. I always pushed back against that, but there is some truth to it. I see there's another comment, but I can't see it in the sun, so I'll have to wait till I get a bit of shade. Mowing, I guess, over there. Here comes another dog. I'll give him the path, or her. Can't tell with dogs just by looking, not without getting really personal. There's another comment. I still can't read it. You're going to have to wait till I find some shade. Maybe under the bridge, if not before. There's another dog over there. Baseball. Diamond. This one you could hit the ball a long way and it wouldn't matter. There's no fence either, so you could chase it a long way if it rolls. Some shade up here, maybe I'll be able to read the screen. We'll see. We'll see if I can. Not quite. It's not so much, I never know if it's the screen that's really, I suppose the screen's no dimmer than it usually is. It's that my eyes have shrunk. Pupils have shrunk to pinpricks in the bright sun. Let's see. That's not helping. Moira, hey. Yeah, looking pretty good. And good morning to whoever that is, whose name I can't quite read in this light. Eugene. Good morning, Eugene. Hard work, but I did it. I'll have to start wearing reading glasses because if I get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm now about 70 away, I think I've topped 930. One of the things that activates is people can actually give you money while you're walking, I think. Let's see, up there, they're working on the bridge still. Oh, they've even replaced the railing here with, oh no they haven't, I thought it was new wood, but it's not. There's not normally a little tunnel here. There is, unfortunately, normally graffiti. I have no patience for graffiti people, but they don't listen to me. Here we are under the Pasqua Street Bridge. And on we go. We're going to go up here and then walk on the other side of this baseball field that's coming into view here. We're all the way up to the corner of 13th and Louvain. But instead of crossing Louvain today, we will walk back along 13th. So we'll say actually goodbye to the creek at this point, despite me labeling this a creek walk. We won't get back to it on this walk. So goodbye, creek. Well, yeah, I'll go this way. So we're going to walk over there by those apartment buildings. Up there where the traffic is the Louvain Expressway, which it isn't really because there's quite a few traffic lights along it. So if it was an expressway, you'd think there wouldn't be any lights at all. But that's what they call it. No, actually they call it Louvain Drive. It's Wascana Expressway with Louvain Drive. So I lied. Sorry about that. Airport's over there. Not quite there, but a little further down. It's kind of an industrial area over there, and then the airport right right over there, which you can't see from here. That's a curling club right in front of us, just peeking up over the Louvain. One of many city-owned slow-pitch fields, available for rent, I guess. Rent, you just have to book it nano. Over there, that low building is Saskatchewan Express. It's an old school. That's now it's Saskatchewan Express, which is a performing arts school that hangs out. Saskatchewan Express has a touring group that goes to fairs and things in the summer. I presume that's happening this summer. And then they also do larger shows sometimes. The gym there has been turned into a bit of a theater. There's a dog right along the path I intend to walk along. Can't run into weeds here, but it looks like they've been cut down fairly recently. Also have to watch out for gopher holes. Because if I break my leg, you'll have to shoot me. Yeah, this is, when the weeds are short, it's fine. When they're long, there's a lot of nettles along here, which are no fun if you're wearing shorts. Okay. Now we'll walk by this apartment complex, which is now renting, if you're looking. I don't know what they're like inside. Nice enough, I guess. Not a big fan of external staircases in our climate, but nobody asked me. They were at least covered, but they would still be prone to icing and snow buildup in the winter. I don't know if I've walked along here much in the winter because that path back there is harder to walk along. There's a bit of a park up here we're going to walk through then up to the corner of Louvain and 13th. And we'll turn right and walk down 13th. Bit of green space in between the buildings, not a lot. Grass looks better than it does in front of my house, though. Especially this year when I don't even have a good sprinkler, I haven't watered it, so I just let it go and mowed it a couple of times. But when you don't water it, you don't even have to mow it very much. We need new sod, and maybe when we landscape the back after our little addition is built, we'll do the front as well. Now we will go this way. Other option is to walk along 14th, but 13th is perhaps a bit more interesting, especially when we get down to where I will turn toward my house. So, stick with my original plan. I don't know what this little patch of park is called off the top of my head. I've walked through it a couple of times. I'm sure it has a name, but it's just a little green space, part of the buffer between residential buildings here and the Louvain over there. These are some fairly old houses over here. Some new ones, of course, have been built, but the original ones for this neighborhood are of a significant age. You can even tell by the size of the trees that neighborhood's been there for a while. There's the Louvain. There might be a sign on the park. I guess it's at the other corner. I know I've seen one. I just don't remember what it says. This little path is nice in the winter with the spruces and the other trees when they have snow on them. It's an attractive little stretch. Not very long, but nice. Sometimes I've walked over there, but not today. There's some newer ones there, and then mixed in with some old small ones, and some even older than that. So I don't know exactly when the development began. Out here, it's probably the edge of town at the time. I'll be going that way in a minute. Then there's a couple of larger new ones right here in this corner. It's probably those are 50s, those little ones. Probably 50s. Might be 60s, but probably 50s. Here's the corner of Louvain and 13th. We're not crossing. We'll take the sidewalk down to my right. Is there a sidewalk here? Yes, I wasn't sure there was, but there is. So I'm not going over there, although I do sometimes. And I'm not going down there, although I do sometimes. I'm going this way. Down the corner and back up 13th. Now we've turned the corner and are headed home. This is probably actually shorter because it's straighter. As I said earlier, shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line and all that. A couple of fairly new ones over there. And on the next corner, those ones that look like one building that's been split down the middle, which is a really aesthetically uninspired design, but probably cheap for the developer in some fashion. Used to be an old church there. I didn't know it was a church, but it was Martin's School of Dance. And I was in it at least once back during my daughter's dance era. She rehearsed there, or maybe even goes all the way back to when I was in the Female Gaudet, before she was dancing with Class Act Studios. That's the only ballet I've ever been in, so. The Female Gaudet means the badly guarded daughter, and the mother is always played by a man in drag. And that was me. There's a picture you can find on my website if you go looking. I make a rather alarming woman. And the reason for that is that the mother has to pick up the ballerina and put her over her knee and spank her and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it could be played by a large, strong woman, but traditionally it's played by a man. There's also a clog dance, but they didn't bother choreographing that for me. So I didn't really dance in it at all. Anyway, I was in it, and that might have been what we rehearsed there, but I have a feeling it was something else. Maybe Alice was just there because they needed extra rehearsal space or something. So now we're on 13th. This will take us straight down to a little shopping area where I do a lot of my grocery shopping, and we do all that stuff. Now, if you went down to the right, you would come to the park and the creek. So it is down there, but we've now left it quite far to our right. Two blocks, I guess. 14th, 15th, and then it's the park and then the creek. 3 blocks in distance. This is a church here. King's Corner Church of God. I've never been in this. I know they serve coffee because they put it on their little TV screen here. If you keep watching, I probably will come up before I get past it. Yes, church is better with coffee. I haven't walked over on that side of 13th for a while, but although I was over there on Victoria Avenue not too long ago, I didn't zigzag through these little blocks to my left. It's kind of an uninteresting street down at this end, but then as you get over Elphinstone, you get more interesting stuff. Metal roof. I've always wondered about those. Aren't they noisy? I don't know. Probably don't have to be replaced very often. Hail might dent them, I don't know. I'm sure they're more expensive than a shingle roof like most of us have, but are they better? I'm sure the people that sell and install them will tell you so. But empirically, I do not have an answer to that. Someone did a more interesting walkway there with flagstones. Could use a little shade. I'm getting quite warm. I'm walking fairly briskly, and the sun is getting higher and warmer. Well, the sun's not getting any warmer, same temperature all the time, but I'm getting more of it as it gets higher. There's less atmosphere to come through before it hits me. It's an interesting vehicle. Pretty sure that's not a personal steamroller. Oh, they got a nice front garden. Very lush looking. City Street Farms, it says. Really? They actually sell what they grow there? Or is it just something they thought, oh, there's a bird sitting on that sign. Keeping an eye on things. It's Monday, so garbage pickup day. Wednesdays are recycling day, at least for us. I suppose it varies where you are in the city, but around here, I think that's what it is for everyone. Ooh. There's another one of those. One building sliced down the middle with a meat cleaver. Very boring. Very boring to look at. Some developer that just doesn't bother to really work on things. Just takes the simplest possible plan and throws it up. Start to get in. We're almost up to Elphinstone, which is where we'll... Now, did he cross the street because he saw me coming? Possibly. I always wonder about that. Guilty conscience or something? I wouldn't worry about it if someone came toward me. Some people wave at the camera, much friendlier. Some people don't have a clue what I'm doing. My right hand have to switch hands. As I've mentioned before, this is a much heavier gimbal. This is Connaught School, the new Connaught School, replaced the old one that was built about 1914. There's a lot of people hated to see the old one go, but it was in bad shape. And as I often comment, I mean, we'd feel the same way about Davin School whenever they decide to tear it down. But if you're a kid, you're much more excited to have a brand new school. You don't particularly want to be in the old mausoleum that your grandparents went to, or great-grandparents. So this is the new one. I haven't been in it. Looks nice. This building replaced an uninteresting building. They replaced an uninteresting building with another uninteresting building. Always a popular choice by developers. There's kind of another look at the school. And then we have 13th and Elphinstone here. There's also the library over there, Connaught Library, which I don't know who Connaught was, but A couple of things named after him, I presume. Probably some important city person. I've been in that library a couple of times for programs. My wife and I even did a wine tasting in there as a library program once, which was fun. That used to be a convenience store, maybe even a 7-Eleven. Now it's the Happy High Coffee Shop. Don't much care for their name, but we assumed it was going to be a cannabis shop when we first saw the name. Slate Fine Art Gallery over there. Here's the front of Connaught School. You can see the date on it, 1930. Auntie Maggie's Caribbean Meals is one we haven't tried yet. There used to be our favorite restaurant in there. The Creek and Cathedral Bistro was there for a long, long time. Went away. Then it was a takeout chicken place, and now it's Auntie Maggie's Caribbean Meals. I don't know if it's just delivery or dine-in. I suppose we should check it out sometime. Start to get bigger buildings as you get on down this way, more multi-dwelling buildings. Greystone Manor, although from the statue in front of it, I've always presumed that at some point was connected to the church, which is coming up, the cathedral, but I don't know that for sure. Oh, somebody else said good morning. Tiffany. Good morning, Tiffany. Some older houses. These are probably 30s at least. Could even be 20s. Ours was built in the 20s, and it's a bit bigger than these, but not that different. So 20s or 30s, these I would think. Then comes the big, used to be a nunnery, now it's condos. You start to see stores. Over there is Groovy Mama, which is a clothing store. This one here says the Hair House on it. So here's, what do they call this now? We'll know in a minute because we're coming up to the sign. You can see the cathedral towers there, spires. It's called Cathedral Courts. Still has a cross on top of it. It's condos. I've been in one many years ago, and I think it still has a chapel in it that is sometimes used for, well, I sang in it. I don't know what it's used for otherwise. Just a meeting room, I guess. Don't think it's consecrated anymore. This house, apartment over here is quite old, and I dated a girl one time, picked her up there. So I have been inside it, but again, that was 30 years ago. Before I was dating my wife, to be. 13th Avenue Coffee House, and then there's 3 older houses in a row next to them that are kind of nice. And then, of course, over here is the cathedral itself. Holy Rosary Cathedral, built in 1910, I believe. Yeah, these 3 houses here are nicely kept up, kind of a landmark of the street. And here's Holy Rosary Cathedral. We'll take a look up. Up, 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 up. And I'll call Rusty. If you know that reference, you're a Canadian of a certain age. And again, now you're seeing more businesses on this side. Penny University is over here. That's a local bookstore. Carries my books. Here's some of them. Not sure what seed is. Another church on the next corner. That's Westminster United, used to be Presbyterian, I think. Lovely church to sing in. That's mostly where I've been there, for concerts or to sing in choirs. Over there is Des Arts, which is a candy and ice cream shop. This is Westminster United. We'll pause to take a look up at it as well. Look up, look up. There we go. Westminster United. I like the flowers they put on the steps here. Yeah, it actually says Westminster Presbyterian Church. It was built in 1912, so it's more than 110 years old now. Gale's Florist over there, and a coffee shop I've never been into. Brandy's, if I have something to mail, I usually mail it here because it's the closest. Pacific Fresh Fish is where we get our, wait for it, fresh fish. Now, Italic is the one I'm going to turn down on the next block. I think I will, over there's the Mercury with the rocket ship on top, which is kind of cool. I'm going to walk down here though on Robinson because it's more interesting than just walking in front of the Safeway, which is our main grocery store we shop at. There's a hair thing in this one. Then there's a pub, O'Hanlon's, right here, which I've only been into once. It's been around for a while now, 9 years, I guess. Another hair place upstairs from Takeaway Gourmet, which has other things, but we think of it as a cheese shop. And there's chocolate. Bakery. Orange, which is an Asian restaurant, Japanese and Korean. And Butcher Boy Meats, which is where we buy our meat. So it's all handy here for us. And then you're into houses again. This apartment building, I've never been in it. It's of interest to me because our piano used to live here. The grand piano we have in the living room belonged to Madame Burkett, who was one of the earliest voice teachers in Regina. And she used to live on the 3rd floor of this apartment building because she couldn't stand to have anybody underneath her, which means at some point our piano went up the stairs to there and came down again when my wife's grandparents bought it, probably. Went to our house and has been in the same place ever since. When we did renovations, we just built a box around it and put it on wheels. There's something there. Let me see. Trying to read, get the glare out of my eyes here. I can't read it. I don't know why my eyes aren't focusing in this light. That's why I'm looking at this. I'm trying to get the... I can't read it. I should be able to read it. Oh, wait, maybe. 99 cents for a pack of Kool-Aid at Just Desserts. For you Kool-Aid lovers. Oh, there we go. Good to know. I'm not a Kool-Aid lover, but if you are, that's where you get your fix. There, and you got a good look at the front of that apartment building while I tried to decipher that. The Lord Robinson Apartments over here, rather a grand name. We looked at a condo in here when we were looking at condos when we were first married, and we liked it a lot, except it was on the 3rd floor, no elevator. You'd have to carry everything up the stairs. And the floor wasn't level. If you dropped something in the kitchen, you knew exactly where it would end up. So everything rolled down to one corner. Really nice otherwise, but we knew we were going to be eventually changing places with my mother-in-law, who was quite elderly then, and she couldn't manage the house with its stairs anymore. And we knew she couldn't manage that either, so that one and also another one we looked at the Balfour. Balfour would have been okay, except it had outdoor parking, and that didn't seem like a good thing either. So we ended up in a new condo, which I've walked by a few times, which we still own. In fact, I'll be over there later today. It's kind of our east wing. It's where I do my recording and store books for Shadow Press and stuff. So we did eventually. She moved there and lived there the rest of her life, and when we moved into the house. It's quite close, which is also nice. Well, this would have been too, obviously, but again, with the stairs, it was not practical. The condo's like a 10-minute walk for me from the house. Less if you're driving. We'll go on over to Metallic now. To conclude this walk, as we go by these, which were at some point a commercial building, but a store, but it's been turned into a house a long, long time ago. This one still has, I think it says it's a hardware store on top, but it's also condos now. Is that what it says? Yeah, it says 1912 hardware at the top of this building. Can't see it from here, but look way, way up. Up there it says 1912 hardware. There's, oh, I thought it was a garbage truck, but it's something else. Front-end loader being towed somewhere by a dump truck. Okay, a couple of more blocks and we will be home. Lovely thing about this neighborhood is the mature trees that kind of arch over the street and make a shady tunnel. Probably lowers the temperature. Another nice front garden. And this is a nicely landscaped front yard as well. Yeah, very nice. Maybe someday we'll have a nice looking front yard. My focus has been on the inside of the house, and now this extension and deck. And maybe we can think about landscaping at some point. Even new grass would make a huge difference. The grass is shot. It's one reason I didn't put a lot of effort into it this year. Last couple of years I've hired people to, fertilize and all that stuff. The grass still looked like crap, so I've pretty much written off our front yard. One of the little scooters that you see running around now. Nice brick house on that corner. I've been in there. It's very nice. And that one over there is very nice as well. There's Devon School. They call it the Crescents now, but it will always be Devon to me. This little cherry tree over here was planted to honor Pamela Goodale, who was principal here. If you're Canadian, you might recognize the name Ralph Goodale, longtime MP. I first met him back in the 20s when he was MP when he was in his 20s, youngest MP at the time. That was in Weyburn. More recently, he's been MP for one of the Regina ridings, but he lost last time around, I guess, or even the time before that in his election. At one point, he was Minister of Public Safety, a lot of things in the cabinet. Staunch Liberal. Anyway, Pamela, his wife, was principal at the school there for a very long time. And that's what that little cherry tree out front is in her honor. Yes, when he was Minister of Public Safety, you always worried if he suddenly had to get up and leave an event because he was getting a phone call. Another great story about Ralph is we were at a Rider game, and there was also a symphony that night. And they kind of overlapped, and we were talking to him in the fan lounge and mentioned we were going to the symphony, but we didn't want to leave the game early enough to get changed. And he said, "Oh, it's all right. Wear your Rider gear," because we were all wearing jerseys, including him. I think he was going maybe to symphony too. I don't know. Anyway, so we figured if we had authorization from the Canadian Minister of Public Safety, wearing Rider gear to the symphony was all right. That's another very nice house over there. And this is where we will stop. It's on this corner. Different side of the corner than I normally stop on, but that's for today. So thanks for walking with me, and I should be back tomorrow. Bye for now.